Bonsuelo again, mathletes. This is great. 2 videos in one day. We just finished talking about the order of operations. Remember, these are not equations. They're expressions. Today we're going to continue then with a very short explanation of negative exponents. The first thing I want to mention is what's the definition of a negative exponent? And then, quite frankly, I would kind of recommend you not use the definition, but I'll tell you what I would use if I was you. Okay, so what's the definition of a negative exponent? Technically, it's that x to the negative first power becomes 1 over x. Okay, fine, there's the definition. Really, what would I tell you to do? It's what I have written here. A negative exponent moves the value from the numerator to the denominator, or vice versa. In other words, from the denominator to numerator. That's the way I would think of it. People that use the definition a lot of times make mistakes that you can kind of avoid by just thinking of it. A negative exponent moves the value from the numerator to denominator, or vice versa. Next, I just want to mention one thing. I'm going to scribble this kind of at the bottom of the page, and don't bother writing it down. I just want to point something out to you. Okay, so first of all, that number, 5, is it a negative number? And you'd say, no, why not? Most people say, because there's no negative. Okay, fine. Okay, so is that a negative number? Well, there's a negative there, so is it a negative number? No, because it doesn't matter where the negative is, if it's on the top, the bottom, where the only time a number is a negative number is when the negative is in front of the number. That's a negative number. It doesn't matter if it's anywhere else, okay? Anywhere else, it's not a negative number. It's only if the negative is in front of the number that it makes it a negative number. Okay, so just be careful. A negative number is not the same thing as a negative exponent. A negative exponent doesn't make something a negative number. Okay, so again, you don't need to write that down. Just make sure you're aware of that. Okay, so let's just take a look at these problems. First of all, we have 2 to the negative third. It's not a negative number. There isn't a negative in front of it. The negative exponent just moves the whole quantity down to the denominator, and then that becomes 1/8. Okay, the next one, this is a negative number. Nothing moves, nothing changes position from numerator to denominator. Why? Because there is not a negative exponent. This is simply a negative number. You do the exponent first, and then you make it negative. And again, that's because you do the exponent before the negative. Okay, this is both a negative number and a negative exponent. So we do the exponent first. So we put the 2 to the third on the bottom. Then we make it negative. And of course, then that's negative 1/8. Okay, this next one, this is not a negative number. I just take that thing exactly as it's written, and I stick it in the denominator. Now, what's 2 to the 1/3 power mean? You don't have to worry about that for right now. We'll worry about that some other day. Problem 5 here. Again, you just stick it in the denominator. And again, if you want to go straight to calling it 1 over 100, you don't have to write the 1 over 10 squared. Okay, number 6, it's a negative number. It has a negative exponent, so we do the exponent first. We move the 9 to the denominator, and then make the thing negative. Okay, here, what I'm going to do is give the negative exponent to both the numerator and denominator. Why can I do that? Remember the rule of thumb I gave you back on the first day is if you ever want to take a shortcut, look for a plus or minus sign, no addition or subtraction. And if there's no addition or subtraction, you can take whatever shortcut you want. There's no addition or subtraction here. Okay, so I'm going to call this 5 to the negative first, all over 7 to the negative first. And now, the 5 to the negative first is in the numerator, so I put it in the denominator. The 7 in the negative first is in the denominator, so I simply move it to the numerator. Okay, so that's a negative exponent. So what we've done is looked at the order of operations. We've looked at negative exponents. The next thing we're going to look at is radicals. I hope you all have a good day. Adios.